And
Live.
we are live. Welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast. My name is Mac Taylor.
I'm DJ.
And today we're talking about a good movie, which is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007. DJ?
Great.
All right, you want to just go ahead and jump right on in because we have a lot of plot here. This movie is about like 2.5 hours long. Like it's pretty lengthy for
It's the longest one of them.
I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is longer. Not by much, but yeah. Rob Zombie makes pretty lengthy films, but good films.
Yes.
For the most part. Or a couple exceptions to that rule. All right off the bat, we get we definitely get a 70s vibe because this one kind of ups our timeline a bit. Instead of it taking place at the start was like the late early 60s. It's taking place in the 70s, and we get a Kiss song. And little Michael Myers, played by Dake Fairsh, is wearing a Kiss t-shirt. Right away, he's wearing the clown mask already with no contacts.
Yeah.
Just is wearing it.
Walking around like that's his normal thing.
Like it's morning too, so it's like,
yeah,
did he get up and put the mask on? Did he sleep with the mask on?
Routine. He's excited. You know what? Probably not. It's his Halloween costume. You know, he's the kid that's excited to wear the Halloween
So he's putting it on all the time. Usually it's the kid that won't take it off, not the kid that keeps putting it on before Halloween. But I don't know. It is a little small detail. And then he's playing with a rat.
Yeah. What was his name?
I don't even remember the rat's name. I didn't write it down. I should have wrote it down.
It was awesome.
Hey, we got 3 viewers right now. I just want to point that out in the corner. That's cool. Probably because we started this early. We never really do this kind of thing early.
Oh, but the rat.
Nah, we'll skip. It's his pet. Anyway, then we get introduced to Michael Myers' parents. Well, stepdad and mom.
Classy, trashy, white trash trailer.
There is no classy part of this. So Sherry Moon Zombie does the typical Sherry Moon Zombie characters, like she's hot. That's basically it. And we meet her boyfriend Ronnie, who is a total piece of garbage, played by William Forsythe. Like some of their dialogue, man, where she's like, he's like, that one girl's been eyeballing me, and she's like, what, the one with the saggy tits? And he talks about fucking the chick in front of his girlfriend, fiance, something.
I don't know what they are, but it's a messed up. It's a classical messed up.
And there's a baby sitting at the table too, and this is totally cool. This is totally cool table conversation.
Not only that,
he's got a cast on too from something.
Cast on. He's got finger braces and something's up with his leg. Got
I'm sure he got some sort of compensation for it too.
Yeah.
That's probably what he's living off of. Then his sister comes downstairs, and she's a total piece of shit too. And she's making fun of him. He's like, "Oh, my rat died," and she's like, "Oh, what? Just stroke it to death?" Like, really?
Just starts stroking the juice bottle.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's like, I hate this family so much.
Well, and then the dad was talking about how nice his daughter's ass was to the mom, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's
it was
ballsy,
really
bro.
uncomfortable.
That is some ballsy
I mean,
movie.
this is Rob Zombie-esque dialogue.
Oh, yeah,
It's in all of his movies. Like, it really, like, it's hard to listen to sometimes. You're just like, ugh, why that guy's so fucking creepy?
Right.
And he calls him Michelle instead of Michael.
Yeah,
which
because he made the section.
yeah, that gets thrown around a lot. There is the non-fuck F word is thrown around quite a bit in this one. And the whole time Michael is just staring with, like, Dave Fairch does this good job. These eyes are so cold. Like they're blue, baby blue, but just cold.
Yeah.
There's a lot of notes I take on this as well. Then at school, Michael runs into Judy from Spy Kids. And some fat kid that we never really see again later. And Judy, for no reason, Michael's just taking a piss or something. Like he's just
in the piss in the stall, and they come in, and Judy was talking about getting another fight with some other.
And then Michael's just walking by, and he just immediately starts fucking with him.
That once again
about the sister first, talking about how she had to have her stomach pumped. 25-cent blowjobs in the bathroom. She had to get her stomach pumped, and I'm like, damn, this is a harsh tone already. Then he has a picture. Michael's mom's a stripper, which of course, because Sherry Moon was, I believe, a stripper before she got with Rob Zombie, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the trivia with it, but basically pulls out a flyer for his mom
with a picture of his mom
stripping.
on it,
Yeah,
talking about how his dad
yeah.
would like say that he could give her $1 and rub her tits in his face, and that set Michael off.
And then he goes to beat the shit out of this kid, but he's clearly
outnumbered.
well. That and the other kid jumped in too, so it's like. Then the principal overhears the scuffle, and he goes in there to break it up. And Michael, and I wrote this in here. He's like, "Fuck you." And the principal's like, "What
did you say to me?"
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like he's really got this rage early on. Like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's like, all right, why are you even taking the principal literally just saved you? So chill
Yeah.
bit, boy.
And then we get intro to cool Malcolm McDowell Loomis. Like this Loomis has the
cool,
sunglasses
long
and the
hair.
yeah.
Which Michael McDowell with long hair does not.
No, I always I like a
good at
short
all.
haired Malcolm,
Yeah,
which he
most
did look.
definitely.
I mean, Clockwork Orange, he had long hair.
Yeah, but age thing.
Maybe it is. He has a
Maybe
huge
that was
nose
fake
that
hair.
is definitely accented.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Michael had been killing small animals, including his pet rat. But he also had been killing they pull a dead cat out of a drawer. But I'm like, you kept that in a drawer all day,
right? And it was in a little baggie.
and like he just got called into the principal's office. So, like, how long has he had this dead
They
cat?
said it was in his bag.
Oh, okay. I missed that piece of information.
They said it was in his bag, and then they pulled out the pictures, and they said that he had all these pictures,
Okay.
and there was like numerous amount of pictures of dogs, cats,
animals, small animals
like
being
some of them were
tortured,
pinched in between like plywood or timber wood or something.
Like, I mean, sometimes
tortured.
it was bigger. It probably had to hold it down because
down.
he's a small kid at this point. Basically explaining where Michael's going wrong. He's got a shitty fucking family, and he's torturing small animals, which is a sign of like a psychotic mind.
Yeah,
because he's constantly getting shit on, so he's finding a way to make others have pain and be in control. Which Loomis explains kind of to Cherry Moon Zombie, who's basically like, "Oh, Michael loves animals. He wouldn't do this. His rat died this morning." Like she kind of comes to that realization, but it's like it's her son, and she's trying to.
It would be hard to hear that.
Yes.
Your kid is a crazy serial killer and making like, no, he's not. You're gonna defend him.
Then Michael runs out of the school, and the Halloween song starts playing. Kind of an odd place to start that theme.
Well, that wasn't that. It was just like the fact that he ran out. Nobody tried to stop him.
Especially with what he does literally right after this, and nobody really knows. It's kind of odd.
But he goes out in the woods,
we go back to Judy, Spy Kids Judy, and he's like, "If I see that Myers faggot, I'm gonna beat his ass." Blah blah blah.
Talking about if he gets one more detention, he gets expelled.
Beat
his ass.
Yeah.
Quit being a dumbass.
Being a dick. Like quit doing this to people. But he walks through the woods. I'm assuming to go home, and a lot of kids do that around small towns. And Michael comes out from behind a tree with a big ass branch and just starts beating the fuck.
Smart.
Took him by surprise. Yeah.
Took his legs out first, though, so he couldn't run.
And then at first he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," and then Michael just continues to beat him, and then it starts.
It starts begging for
begging.
Stop! I'm sorry. And it was like that was some good acting.
It is a brutal scene too. Like he's really like, ugh. It goes on for a long time. I don't know the exact time. It's like 2 minutes or so. It's a long time of him. Literally, we watched the life leave him.
Yeah,
as he's beating
there was
him.
a part where like please stop, and then kind of quit.
It kind of pans out to the trees a little bit, then comes back, and he's like,
and you see him
limping,
just kind of like fade out.
Yeah,
he's gone.
And then because at first Michael lifts his mask up when he was begging, and then he looks at him for a second, and then he puts it right back down,
creepy.
knowing like it's done.
Like it was great. Like that whole.
It's almost like he was questioning, like, should I stop?
No, I think he was.
That's how I took it. Like he raises the mask is like his killer instinct, and he raises it up and is like, "Should I stop?" No, and then immediately goes back to being the shadows.
I can get that.
It's almost like his little shred of conscience that's left at this point.
That makes sense.
This is his first human murder.
Yeah, and he enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, there was a lot. This was physical.
It didn't even phase him because he went home right after and just carried on. Like,
yeah, he's going trick or treating after brutally beating a kid to death
with a stick, and you want to go to that? Pretty
Oh yeah. And then we cut Ronnie's watching The Thing from Another World, which
Right.
John Carpenter remade later, and it's kind of like, and that was in the original
The
Halloween, so it got thrown in here. And he's still fucking with Michael, like must be an all day, every day kind of thing for him because Michael never does anything.
That's why Michael is the winner. That's why I love this because it gave more of a backstory to Michael rather than just Michael just.
And like the only person Michael loves is his mom
only, and his
and the little baby because it's a baby.
Yeah,
but like. Because his mom, he's like, I like your hair curly. It makes you look pretty. And she's like, you better live it up tonight because after today, things change. And boy, does he listen to that advice.
He's like, all right, Mom, gotcha.
He's like, mental note taken. Time to have some fun. Which, yeah.
He went all out, man.
And then we meet Judith's boyfriend, who kind of looks like the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Like I wrote, is Judith dating Lynyrd Skynyrd?
I thought he kind of looked like Kurt Cobain.
Looks like a musician. For sure. He definitely got a musician-y vibe.
Long hair, definitely 70s long hair. Just
hipster. So, and she's supposed to take him trick-or-treating, but she's like, nah, my boyfriend's here. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And he goes upstairs with him. And so Michael just sits out. I think he goes.
I didn't really say it's kind of like he went trick-or-treating. I think.
And then we get a montage of the song Love Hurts, where Michael is sitting on the step kind of crying, and his mom is stripping. And we see
really
Sherry. It's odd to see someone stripped to Love Hurts.
Yeah,
like
right? Like that's
it is. It does not go there. Like, it
was a little weird.
It was a little weird, but it's stylistic though.
Oh yeah,
it's very stylistic. And then upstairs, Judith and her boyfriend are going at it. Judith and Lynyrd Skynyrd guy are going at it. And above is like a picture. It says like, learn from your parents' mistakes, use protection. And I don't think they were using protection. Because of after he did not remove anything. So I'm just assuming that no one just wears a condom after sex for like the rest of the night. Just like, So I'm pretty sure that that's what that was there for. But he's like, I got a surprise for you. She's like, what? And he goes, he puts on what will eventually become the Michael Myers mask. And he's like, open your eyes. And he's like, blah! But I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, and then he takes it back off.
He's like, I want to do it with the mask on. I'm like, really? I mean, a leather bound mask, but just a Halloween mask? Why?
Yeah, like what was what is this?
What is that?
Other than we needed to put the mask in the movie.
That's it.
But let's make it kind of creepy the way we put it in the movie. Yeah. That's kind of how I kind of chalked that up. And then Michael is in the kitchen eating candy corn. And it's like, at some point, he's like, yeah, fuck this. I'm tired of eating candy.
That was his snapping point. Where I almost think he was contemplating it while eating the candy corn.
Should I do it?
Planning, am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? And then he's like, all right, I'm going to do it right now.
So Ronnie's like passed out drunk. And like when you're in a drunk sleep, it's almost like a coma. And so he duct tapes him to the couch and like a lot of fuck duct tape.
Took
and then takes out the famous chef's knife from the kitchen and he slits his throat and Ronnie's eyes pop open.
I like this picture with like Ronnie's eyes pop open and he has like his head pulled back
to where that he's looking down.
Looking down with the mask on. And like I just would have loved to know what was going through his head.
Yeah.
Just
like this kid you tormented for I don't know how long.
Like I almost wonder if he was like, oh fuck.
I mean, it was probably more like oh God, I'm dying.
Like, did he like I deserve this? Like,
no.
That's my thought.
But yeah, he's like writhing around, and it's this long.
It was a good trial. Like that's I like the deaths in this movie because that like in all the others, which it's cool, it's good and all. I'm not bashing the originals, but and the deaths in this movie, especially, just like they're more realistic and they like hit harder.
Yes,
so
I would say so.
I like that a lot.
Yes. Let's see what my next note is. The boyfriend, he decides he wants an after-sex sandwich, which, I don't know if I'd in someone else's house.
Judith's job to go make the sandwich? Just kidding.
We here at Film Vomit Podcast do not support sexism. Damn it, DJ. That was our first un-PC moment.
It was a joke.
I know, I'm just kidding. So he goes to make the sandwich, and I wrote a little
Like,
joke
he just
in
walks
my
by
notes.
and like it's like he doesn't even.
But we get Michael in the background, like slowly coming up with the bat, and then we hear it. That's what makes
hear
that.
the
You hear the clink.
because it's that aluminum baseball bat. Like, you hit a ball with it. I've been hit with a aluminum bat before, and it makes it very distinct.
That guy tasted metal.
Noise. Yeah.
So he hits him, he drops, and just starts seizing because that's what happens with blunt force trauma. And then he just keeps doing it, keeps doing it. And you're like, now, I understand why they didn't hear the other guy die, but why wouldn't Judith hear him die?
Well,
because she had put on headphones. Clever little thing they wrote in there, because in Resurrection, we were complaining why nobody was hearing these fucking deaths. This is learning from mistakes there.
But yeah, like the whole time, like he nonstop bashed this dude in. He was screaming and enjoying it. Like it was like
he was letting some shit out.
He let the aggression out on boy.
Because I wrote goes for after sex sandwich, but gets Batman. Dude. That's that's squeezing a joke. I just thought that's what that was gonna happen.
Dude,
but one thing about this movie that I think I love almost more than any of it is this. How you talk about the stock factor. This has the best as far as like Michael is but you see him watching everything happen,
and that's probably why this is because like the stock factor is so. It's like it takes it to a whole nother level, like a realistic stock factor. Like he's constantly there,
and like
a lot of the times, Michael and the other
people are so caught, and this happens. People are so caught up in their conversations or what they're doing, they don't see him.
Yeah, like later on, there's a part where people are walking in the house, and he is literally just like
standing right on top because they're focused on them and getting in.
You would be able to see it, but it's just something you don't see.
It's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, it is, and it's like it's
creepy as fuck, and I love
terrifying,
it. Yes,
makes you wonder how often this happens in
your
life.
How much are you missing?
Like, how many times
yes,
you miss something?
Exactly. Like could crazy. End up in your death. It's crazy. Michael then goes into Judith's room, finds the mask that Steve was her boyfriend's name, I think. So
sounds right.
He trades in the clown mask for the new mask, and a little big at first, but you'll grow into it. You will grow into it. Which we'll get to that in a second.
So puts on the mask and goes up, which I can't.
And we get more stalking here, and this gets weird.
I couldn't decide if it was if this was part of his stalking or if this was just the creepy. Like maybe he was doing it to toy with Judith, like because he knew that he would think it was his boyfriend.
Maybe, or is a little borderline
creepy, like
sexual.
Like I don't know.
Like maybe part of it is sexual frustration. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to know, honestly.
Like I'm gonna go ahead and go with it was just him trying to.
He kind of creeps up her leg a little bit, and she's like, "No, Steve, once is enough." Blah blah blah. Then she looks up and sees this Michael, and she's like, "Michael, what's wrong?" And she starts hitting him and shit.
Like, she's like bashing him, like, "What the fuck? You get out of here!" You just.
And then he just drives the knife into her stomach, which I don't know what she saw. He was. Why did she not see he was holding a knife? Maybe she was just confused about all of that there, and then we get this awesome thing where she's trying to crawl away.
Like she's walking.
Oh yeah, first, and he's slashing her.
Slashes her, and like that. This is great kill because it's like this is just the torture in him coming out. Like I think he probably hated her most of all. Yeah,
probably because that was supposed to be his sister, and she was probably one of the worst.
And he like slashes her like quite a bit, and then she falls, and she continues to
slash because he's letting her go a little bit, so he could come up. Yeah, because in the original, it's like stab, done. In this one, it's like
psychotic.
Like slashes her, she falls, and he's just kind of walking and poking at her a little bit.
It's like his. Like the others were his first kill.
Because like we see a shot where she comes out of the room, and then he comes out of the room. Like he was so slow.
That's the definition of stalking. Right? He was stalking his prey. Right? Let like a wounded animal just kind of letting.
He was toying with her.
Oh, it was creepy as fuck.
And that's I don't know how old he's older than he was in the original.
Yeah,
I think that's when he's supposed to. Yeah, but like still, it's really creepy to see kids do shit like this. Then he goes and he puts the knife down. He picks up baby Boo, as she's known.
Boo, yeah.
and just takes her outside and just hanging out outside with her. And then,
which who knows how much time has passed before
Mom and gets home. I really felt bad for Mrs. Myers here.
Yeah,
because she comes home and from a night of work, and Michael's outside with the baby in the cold, and she's like, "That's odd."
Yeah,
and she goes inside, and everyone's dead.
She doesn't go inside. It shows her outside, and she continues to ask Michael, "What's going on here?"
Well, she starts to go inside, and then we cut to the police. It's like police footage, kind of like old police stock tape,
news footage.
And like news reporters are talking, and they're wheeling out the dead bodies, and she's having a breakdown. Like her world is shattered because, especially her daughter is being wheeled out. Yeah. She's like trying to hold her, and they're talking about how like she was stabbed 17 times, and that Ronnie, which we didn't see it, but it says after his throat was slit, he was stabbed in the chest and face multiple times.
Yeah, they didn't show that,
but they talked about it in the news report. It's like, man, like it almost reminds me of like the Lizzie Borden cases with like how many times they were struck with the axe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's brutal, even just to hear about it. You know? And then they talk about like there's a lengthy trial, and that Michael's being taken into the sanitarium, and he's now Loomis's responsibility. Then we cut to these little tapes of Loomis trying to reach Michael, and Michael acts like he has no idea what happened.
Yeah, which is almost wondering
like psychosomatic.
No idea, or if it was just playing.
I think with later he's just trying to suppress it for his mom. Yeah, because he asked his mom like, "How's everybody doing at home?"
Yeah,
and she's like, "Good." Like she's trying to just not upset
pretend
him.
Like it wasn't that.
Yeah, and then we meet Danny Trejo's character as a janitor.
Islam. It was a weird name.
Yeah, it's a weird name, but he was basically an ex-convict who works here now, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry about the bars, man. Don't let him get you down. You got to think outside the bars." Which again, he's definitely thinking about outside of this place. And damn it, people, quit giving him ideas like this. He keeps taking your advice way too well. Like, just think you got to live inside your head and think outside of the bars. And he sure fucking did later. Took a little bit, but he got it. And this is when Michael starts like making masks.
Like, yeah, his obsession with masks grew drastically.
Because he doesn't want to show his face.
Like little paper mache masks, basically.
Yes.
And
first it's like paper. Then it's like, it gets a little more extravagant each time. Which you know, he's only allowed to have certain things, I'm sure. And he says that black's his favorite color. And Loomis is like, actually, black is the absence of color. Which I'm like, don't be a dick to this kid, man. Like, what a smart-assy thing to say. Like, well, actually, like, don't be the actually guy. And he only takes his mask off around his mom because she's like, I want to see your face. And he's like, okay. But everybody else, he's got the mask on. Like, he stops being Michael and starts being the Shape, in a sense.
Yeah, the Shape.
Which we don't really get mentioned here, but in this movie, but that's what I like to think is what's happening here. And then he starts getting kind of annoying here when he's just screaming a lot.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of hard to watch.
Was that when they took the mask off of him?
Yeah, course, right? And he's like freaking out. Yeah. And Loomis is just trying to get something. You could tell like he's not had a case fail before because he's like, man, what is going on here? And Michael's mom is losing hope.
You can see it. She's like,
especially
she doesn't know what to do
because he won't take the mask off, and she does. Yeah, what would you do? Like, really, she's hanging in there like a champ.
She's going to visit him and stuff.
Yeah,
that's great.
Like, yeah, she has nobody left at home besides the baby, and like, you got to think like this. What a tragedy for Mrs. Myers in a way. Then Loomis is like, hey, I'm gonna walk you out to your car, and she's like, okay. And Michael's in there with his nurse, and his mom gave him a picture of him and Boo, and the nurse goes, cute kid. Don't see how she's related to you. I'm like, why are people pissing this kid off? He murdered 4 people. Technically, I don't think they found the other kid he murdered. Though. I don't think they ever pinned that on him.
They would have had it at some point.
Maybe they could have, but they couldn't prove shit. Yeah. But still, it's like, why are people pissing this kid off? It's like, quit doing it.
Why? Don't be dicks.
So he takes a fork and he stabs her to death with a fucking fork.
Who would think they would?
And then Loomis sees guards running. He's like, "What? What?" And
like
him,
they just get in the elevator.
they just, and then they go in there, and she's trying to grab him, and he starts lashing out at her, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And he's screaming, and so then she's home watching like home movies of like Michael and the kid, and she blows her brains out. We hear baby crying. I'm like, man, that poor baby. That baby has to sit there until someone finds dead body. Like, who knows how long that is? It's sitting in its own.
That baby screaming ain't gonna be long.
Maybe.
She probably lives in a paper thin wall apartment where somebody heard a gunshot.
It's a house. And we see later, it's a house. Just saying. Then we cut to 15 years later.
So I never really figure out how old he was.
But Danny Trejo's character, he's retiring.
Yeah, they got a new redneck hillbilly coming in.
Which, how did they hire this guy?
Well, he's like this type of person in the same song. I'm like, why would you want this?
He's like, listen, I don't take no orders from anybody. I don't work for you. I don't work for the government.
He's a dick.
Oh yeah,
a terrible associate.
Terrible. As someone who works in the workforce, that is a bad worker.
I've worked with guys like this. Trust me.
And then he walks into Michael's room and starts touching his masks, and he's like, "Hey, don't touch those."
Flips out, like, don't do it.
And then Michael stands up, and we see he's now almost 7 feet tall. Which, how did little Dave Fair go to Tyler Mane? Like, how did? That's a growth spurt.
Hey, dude. I don't know. He's 6'8" though. We're trying to figure out
6'8" and probably a solid 300 pounds of muscle.
Beef.
Big dude.
A monster.
And that guard just starts talking shit to him. And Trejo's like, "Sorry about the chains, Mikey." And he's like, "Why are you apologizing to this giant piece of shit for?" I'm like, "Why are you pissing him off?"
Why do people
like, okay, I get the kid. Because it's like, oh, it's just a kid. This is a almost 7 foot tall monster. And you're going to be like, let me piss you off some more.
No.
Why would you do that? And then at this point, Loomis, they take him to meet with Loomis, and Loomis is like, "Yeah, it's been 15 years, and I've gotten nowhere with you. I'm done.
I've gone backwards with you.
Yeah, I'm done.
You killed another person, and now you won't talk to nobody.
So this is my last day, Michael."
Deuces.
Every time Loomis tries to leave,
is when he gets sucked right
back. Yeah. Poor Loomis. And then we see Loomis has written a book called The Devil's Eyes, where he's talked about his encounters with Michael. Then we cut back to the asylum where this guard brings in another guard who's his cousin.
I don't even know. They look like hillbilly incest brothers, like the brother cousins.
And basically, they're gonna rape an inmate.
Yeah, literally, they get the girl out, and they're like, and they're taunting her. And once she starts screaming,
and then the other one thinks it's a great idea to bring her to Michael's room, who's just sitting at his desk
making a mask.
Nice
and peaceful, like, which is just the way things should be.
And if
all those two guys right there are the reason to blame Mike Myers after.
Yeah, for everything that happens, if they wouldn't have opened up that door,
they just would have left them be.
So they start raping her in front of him, but like he's not paying attention to them.
Yeah, like they're not even like they are starting rape her, but they're like taunting him, like saying you're a faggot because you're not looking, want a piece of this.
Hey, don't you want this? Blah blah blah. Then they put on his masks
and they start raping her. Gone, and then they're just like changing it and throwing the mask. And then this part, he just stands up, and it's just like the monster 6'8" boy Tyler Mane just stands up, long hair draped over his face, looks like a psychopathic motherfucker.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And basically, just which one does he grab? Not the original. Just grab him,
grabs the other one, and like slams against the wall. And the other one's like, "Hey,
let him go." He starts beating him with the billy club, and it
does not work.
Doesn't
not close at all to working.
Doesn't.
So Michael grabs him and slams his head into the wall so hard it like cracks his head open, like blood stain on the wall. That's what you get for doing what you did there. But we find out later, he not only did he kill the other guard, but he killed the girl. Yeah, he stabs her to death too. Well, I think he chokes her. I think he's like kind of. It's almost like putting her out of her misery, honestly. But so Michael's out. Like this man's a monster. He's out. And
flashes to the next morning.
Well, no, this is point. Trejo comes in and sees sees all these bodies around. And he's like, oh shit.
Well, the phone's ringing and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's calling out to, I'm
To
assuming,
this
the
nurse, and we find out she's dead. We pan
and
down.
she's dying. Because she was still
Oh,
breathing.
yeah, right.
Like she was like her hands were on her throat.
And then he bumps into Michael, who immediately starts assaulting him. And he's like, no, Mikey, I was good to you. And then he starts drowning
he doesn't
him.
immediately start assaulting him.
Oh, no, he goes, yeah.
He's trying to, he's like, hey, Mikey, what are you doing out here?
And he's scared. You could tell he's freaked out.
Because he's just saw, like, he's seen the two dead body, or the two security guards, and he's seen another
guard.
Security guard.
Yeah.
Like,
not the caretakers, but like the actual guard.
So he sees them, so he knows Michael is killed again.
And easily.
He is trying to be, regular with him, not show his fear.
Yeah. Because
keeps calling Mikey, like, hey, Mikey.
Trying to keep him calm so that he doesn't lash out.
Let me get these handcuffs on you. And Michael does. He puts his hands out, and I'm like,
maybe.
And
then he goes to put him on and just grabs him.
And it's like slams him in. Like, I don't even know the room has a sink filled with water out of nowhere.
I think it was like a washroom, kind of. Like a bathroom.
It was a random
tub that has
water.
And he starts drowning him, and like blood's coming out of his mouth and stuff.
Because I think, didn't he punch him?
He hit him in the face with something, so he's bleeding, right? And he's kind of dipping him in the water, drowning him a little bit. And then he finally lets him go, and he flops on his back, and he's dying. He's still like, no,
well,
please.
The entire time, like every time we bring it up, and he goes, Mikey, why are you doing this?
And then he grabs the TV
like, I was good to you.
and just throws it on him.
Smashes him.
Yep.
And he's still like,
he's trying to defend himself, but he can't.
The deaths in this are
that one was hard to watch because I really liked.
I like the Trejo character. Damn it! Nice. But the deaths, every death in here is so much more brutal.
Like he's a real animal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then immediately Loomis is called.
Yeah. Hey, Michael's out.
I hope you enjoyed your 8 hours of retirement.
I don't even know if it was that long. So Michael's out, and it's
they're
trying to tell him why. He's like, "How did Michael get out?" And he basically insults them and says, "All you had to do was keep a trained gorilla."
No, he says, I think I wrote down the line. No, I didn't write down the line.
It was basically something along the lines. All you had to do was keep basically a trained gorilla.
Keep the monkey locked. Yeah, keep the monkey locked away until he stops breathing.
Yeah, that's literally what he said to him. Basically insulting him, and you can't even do that. You suck at your job.
Pretty much. And then we cut to like a gas station truck stop kind of thing.
It was like a truck wash, I think.
Something like that. Something truckers go to. And we meet Joe Grizzly, played by Ken Foree. And he's going to the bathroom to take a dump, which he references a few times.
Yeah, quite a few. He's very happy about it, apparently.
And Michael walks into the same bathroom and knocks on the stall. And we see like his dirty, open-toed sandals,
and you can tell he's been walking through.
He's like little sandals. Yeah, he's walked here. And he's like, yeah, I'm just in here trying to drop off this load. And then he knocks again.
Can you leave me a bee in peace? No peace for you, bub. So he knocks again.
Yep.
And he says, if you really want to do this, I'm Joe Grizzly.
And he pulls out a knife.
He pulls out this big old Bowie knife. And he's like, he's going to threaten him. And he opens it up, swings open.
And we have Shane.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, not too bad. That's loud.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right, awesome. Well, we are kind of still in the beginning of the movie, so you tuned in at a good time.
Good deal.
Truck stop scene.
Oh, the truck stop.
We're at the Joe Grizzly bathroom. Yep.
Nice.
So, since we didn't get your input on the beginning part, kind of tell us your thoughts about the beginning of Halloween with the kid Michael and all that stuff.
Well, I thought it was, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of spitballing here. I didn't take notes or anything. I should have, but
all right.
I enjoyed his Rob Zombie's input on his remake, I guess. It was a little out there, I guess, because, I mean, how he made the parents seem really white trash, I guess, you know. But
very characters, though.
Yeah, likable. I mean, hateable / likable, I guess you could say. I liked Dig Fark as young Michael, though. I thought he did a good job portraying young Michael. I thought it was interesting, his portrayal.
Yeah, I really liked it. To a lot of people, it's not really a popular thing, though. I hear a lot of negative stuff about him, but really, I thought he was perfect in the role.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about his
Yeah. Definitely with his eyes. He had weird eyes, that's for sure. Like he just he was believable with the whole, like he had the devil's eyes. He was just blank stare and everything. It was really good. It was perfect, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And just Rob Zombie brings his plethora of like all the actors he's worked with in the past. Pretty much everybody's in this at some point.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I enjoyed Danielle Harris coming back as Annie Brackett. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Easily.
I love me some Danielle.
Everybody loves Danielle Harris. You can't go wrong.
Oh no. All right, so we'll keep going on with the plot here. Basically, at this point, Michael attacks Joe Grizzly in the bathroom. Brutally takes down the whole fucking stall.
Destroys the bathroom.
So, what are your thoughts on that scene and Ken Foree's kind of thing in there?
Yeah, Ken Foree is just he's probably one of my favorite actors as it is. So seeing him, just that whole scene is just it's hysterical, it's brutal, it's everything you'd want in that kind of scene. His comments is just how he just speaks to Michael like he doesn't even know who he's talking to, and then he realizes I just made a huge mistake. But the joke, yeah, it was a well shot scene, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, Rob Zombie, like his cinematography is
he's really good.
It's definitely like if you like. I know you guys have probably seen all of Zombie's films, but he just has really interesting ways of cinematography, like House of a Thousand Corpses, and a lot of people don't care for Devil's Rejects, of course. A lot of people don't care for Lords of Salem, but I thought that was an interesting film.
It's not one of my favorites, but like it's like you said, it's interesting and different, and I'm okay with that.
I think it was kind of his. It was more of a mystery film than a horror film, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, like Zombie has a way of showing creepy things and beautiful lighting.
Yep. Exactly.
Which is fantastic.
No doubt.
So he kills Grizzly, gets the classic mechanic looking suit.
Oh, I'm glad they finally showed how he gets throwing a dead body on the side of it.
Yeah.
We see the whole murder, the whole kip and caboodle. Yeah, then we get the Mr. Sandman song, which I love. I love that in this franchise. And we get introduced to the Strodes and Lori being played this time by I'm probably gonna butcher the name. Is Scout Taylor? Is it Compton?
Compton, yeah.
Is that her last?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Which I have not seen her in anything else.
She's not really a big actress. She's not really a big name actress.
But she does fantastic in this role. Oh, she was in Runaways? I haven't watched that in years. But anyway, we get this really cool family dynamic between the Strodes because in the original Halloween, we don't really get to see a lot of the interaction between like Lori and her parents. We get to see a little brief scene, but in this we really get to see like she's wildly inappropriate with the baseball, which kind of like, but we saw at the beginning with her actual family. So you're like, oh, she's kind of inherited this white trashism.
Got you.
No doubt.
But oh yeah, and I don't know. I just really like their interactions as a family. It's felt genuine.
It was good to see a little bit.
Just going into it.
I like that he goes way more long, but having that in-depth background, feelings, putting emotions in it.
And then Laurie goes and meets with Tommy Doyle, and I like this Tommy Doyle better than the other Tommy Doyle. This kid was actually a really good actor. Like, I really liked this kid. And they have this kind of cute back and forth. Like, she definitely fucks with them a lot, which is a lot more than in the original. Like, she's just kind
she wasn't being nice,
but he's kind of a dick back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice chemistry. I'm always good for two characters in a conversation in a scene having really good chemistry, instead of just like sometimes you'll get a scene where it's like these two people clearly just met each other, but they're trying to act like they've known each other forever. But like you can tell they've at least had a conversation or two outside of the film before, and like it's genuine.
So side note, we'll say a quick side note on the facts. Emma Stone auditioned for Laurie Strode.
Did she?
Kind of sad that she didn't do it.
Can you imagine?
That'd be really different. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to see
But yeah, I don't know. I really like that thing. Then we go to she's dropping off. I believe it's something for the open house at the Myers house, like something at the Myers house. I can't remember the exact conversation. And he's literally standing right behind the door, just watching her. And I love the stalking scenes in this movie in particular. That some of the sequels that later never got right.
Yeah.
Is that he's always just there.
Yeah.
This one, they got it right, and they took it a whole nother.
Thoughts about that? About the scene where she drops off into the house. Thoughts about that, where we see him get the mask out of the floorboard and things like that.
Yeah, it was kind of weird how he just kind of goes back and is like, oh, this is where that mask was. It's like, how did he know that I was there? That was
like, did he hide it?
Yeah, he had to have hit it, or somebody hit it.
What else did he pull?
He had the knife out of there too.
Yeah.
You know what? He hit it.
But like, how did he get away with hiding a murder weapon?
It's Michael Myers.
That's true. That writes all the logic right out the window.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's no questions asked. It's just like if something happens, it's like, how did he do that? Well, he's Michael Myers. He has his way. I forget, what did she drop? What did she drop off? It was like a folder or something she was dropping off at the stroke. That's something else.
I think he said he had the key to the house in it.
Yeah,
because
must have been.
Like, I need that key later or something. But like, he's literally just like right behind the screen, just like just looking at her, and she has no idea because I don't even think she's turned around. I think she drops it in.
Yeah, she's turned around and drops it in.
And so it's also referred to as the Boogeyman house by Tommy, which there's less Boogeyman than Tommy in this, but it's good. Like, well, in the original, Tommy got really annoying with all the Boogeyman stuff he was saying. So like, this is a toned down version of that, a much more tolerable version. Let's see here. Next note is we meet Annie and Linda, and I wrote in my notes, Annie played by sexy Danielle Harris. I fanboyed so hard.
It's all right.
Which really, who's the actress that plays Linda?
Christina, I'll probably butcher her last name too. It's like Klebe,
maybe?
Klebe, maybe. I
don't know.
Something like that.
But again, the interaction between like Annie, Linda, and Laurie, this feels like modern, well, at least at the 2007's time, like what teenage girls were saying to each other.
Yeah.
Because in the original Halloween, granted it was the 70s, but it's like Laurie's like this very virgin girl character. Linda's clearly the whore, and Andy's clearly the rebel. But in this one, it's like they feel multi-dimensional in the way they're portrayed.
I could definitely agree with that, because it seemed like, because Laurie just seems like how Rob Zombie had her written is like the innocence isn't there like it was in the original, and I think that it kind of adds a nice little twist, new spin on Laurie.
Right, because like not like a lot 99% of girls aren't completely pure, innocent. Like this felt like an everyday girl you would know.
Oh yeah.
But like she's no Jamie Lee Curtis. Like nobody can do that. But like she does good here. But Danielle Harris as Annie, I love more than original Annie. No. But yeah, I love their interactions. And then we get a stalk at the library, like they're talking at the library, and he's literally standing like right across the street. And I just love how he's always in the background. And they again, their conversations sound genuine, sound great. And then we cut to Loomis, who's literally telling the people at the asylum, like, you had one fucking job. You had one person who wasn't supposed to get out of here, and he got out of there. Great job. Which what do you think of McDowell's Loomis?
I enjoy Malcolm McDowell in general. But him as Loomis, like I like the like when Michael Myers was a kid. I like that whole interaction with McDowell and how he played that Loomis. But once he kind of gets to fast forward where he's trying to get famous for his case, that's where he just kind of seems arrogant. I don't care for that in the Loomis. Like Donald Pleasance, he wouldn't have that. That's just not how his character was written.
Donald Pleasance was kind of like, his Loomis is like the epitome of good, and Michael was the epitome of evil. And me and DJ talked about this earlier too. It's like Michael McDowell did a great job. It's just Donald Pleasance is so godly in his performance of it that nobody's ever going to go there. But at least this is a close second. Like about as good as it's going to get besides Donald.
Yeah.
All right. So then we get me turning the page on my notes. And then Loomis does that thing that he always does where he's like, I'm going to Haddonfield because that's where he's going to fucking be. Let's see here. And then we get the kind of a recreation of the scene where they're walking down the street and he's standing just slightly down there. Except Annie's a little more witty. Instead of, hey, creep, which was what was in the original, she's like, my dad's a cop. What's up? And I was like, oh, yeah, that'll do it. And then we meet Sheriff Brackett, played by Brad Dourif, the wonderful character actor Brad Dourif. What did you think of Dourif in this role?
I definitely like Dourif. I think he did a pretty good job. I always liked Charles Cyphers, but I think Dourif did justice to the character. I think I liked how he was just kind of more I don't know, more gruff would be the word. Probably wouldn't be the word, but something like that.
Yes. I like, especially he interacts with the girls kind of like the cool dad.
Yeah.
But like when he interacts with Loomis, he's almost like, get out of here. Yeah. Get out of here right now. Well, like very standoffish. I really like how chemistry did a great job with this. How they interact throughout the entire movie. And then we cut to Laurie and her mom. They're trying to, because earlier her dad's like, hey, would you fix the skeleton thing hanging in there? Which those things, it's like they pop into the socket, but when they pop out of the socket, they never go back in. Like I know this. I know that frustration. So I was watching them like, oh, same. And I can't remember where he's at, but he's like right across the street or something. Like he's very close. He's always very close. And then we get great Sid Haig cameo where he's the graveyard guy. Thank you, caretaker. I could not think of the fucking name of it. And they got to do the thing where they go to Judith's grave, and it's not there, and instead there's a dead fox. That was Judas, I believe. It's always Judas. Any grave, it's always Judas. I don't know. What'd you think of that scene with Sid Haig?
Well, with Sid Haig, it's like you almost couldn't tell it was him. Like I remember reading reading the credits, I'm like, Sid Haig played who? And then I went back and saw. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. It sounds like him now that you look. Like if you go back and watch it a second time, I enjoyed the scene because it kind of, if you watch the original and watch the remake scene, there's a lot of similarities. Like that dude's just pissed off. He's just like, really, like kids.
Which Sid Haig had like the darker, kind of longer extensions put in or something, so it does kind of take you out of it. You're used to seeing him like kind of Captain Spaulding attire.
Oh, exactly.
Normally, but it's always nice to see him. He has a lot of cameos and shit, and I just love seeing him in stuff. Then we go to Linda and Bob. They go into the Myers house this time instead of Linda Wallace's house, and probably and let's continue. They're gonna go fuck in the Myers house, which is odd that which I think she got the key from Lori. I think she was trying to. Yeah. So they go there, but we get that really cool shot of so they're walking in Myers' house, and we just slowly pan up a little bit, and Michael's standing on the balcony, just looking down at them, and it's so cool because they're it's like enter the mouth of madness. It's so awesome, man. Like if I could just have a still image of them entering the house and him standing on the balcony and with the house in the background, I would hang that on my wall. It looked fantastic. Yes. We'll do something. We gotta get Mac that poster. Please. Oh, I lost my place for a second. There it is. So then they are fucking. That's the next scene we get. Yeah, but it's not like the original Halloween where it's like, and like 2 seconds. Like there was like a good 30 seconds of sex and stuff.
So realistic.
And he's like, I'm getting a cramp. And she's like, what? And then he starts coming.
Like, thanks for the warning.
But it's not, it's funny. It was like, I don't know. It's odd. I don't know. Awkward a little bit. Yeah. I was writing while he was driving, I was writing, so. Like right after they do the give me a beer scene. He's like, oh, okay. And like the beers are out in the van. Why would you just keep your cooler of beers outside from where you're at? Inside. So you don't have to walk outside all the time to get beers. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Other than, I guess it needed some time for him to walk all the way over there. You put him in the bedroom.
You could have, and then you read it.
Or it would have taken a little longer. And then, so Bob, he does the thing where he throws the sheet on, and he's like, ooh, I'm going to get her. And he's like walking down the hallway, and Michael just slams him. Gives him no time, and just goes to attack him and stabs him into the wall. But we get, he puts him up just like in the original, and stabs him into the wall. But what's really good, you said the deaths take longer, like they seem more realistic.
They're way more realistic.
Like when he's stabbed in, his like legs kicking out a little bit. He's trying to move.
He's still alive, like he's like suffering.
Yes, and like I liked that. The acting in this was great. And then so Michael comes in, and she does the thing like in the original where she thinks it's Bob, but I don't know how she thought Bob grew like 8 inches taller and was wider. Like the glasses are like bent around his head. Like he's so massive.
Like I can get maybe.
Like he's taller than the door frame, which was not Bob.
Not Bob.
It's not Bob. It's not Bob.
Bob is probably about 6.
Yeah, he's like an average male height. But like Tyler Mane is a monster. If you get one thing from this, Tyler Mane is a monster. And so she does the thing where she pulls the sheet down and shows her tits.
Like
She's
what
like,
you see.
see anything you like? And then she kind of berates him a little bit. And then he goes over and he starts strangling her, and she's spilling beer, and she pulls the. This was more realistic for pulling the sheet off because she's flailing and pulls it off of him, and then he strangles her to the ground, kills her, and then just stands there for a second. Because the look of Michael with the torn up mask and the shredded, frayed edges,
the mask is
coveralls.
amazing.
Everything looks worn and gritty.
It's beat down, been sitting in there,
and the knife too has been sitting there too, so
Yeah.
it's like chipped and
it
dirty.
the mask though, I feel like the mask makes it a bit more
Which
terrifying.
I think that's the mask on here. Part of it. I don't know, but anyway, maybe, probably. Either way, it looks fantastic. The Rob Zombie
most
mask.
definitely.
The part 2, I don't like. More of it's gone. Like you can see his face. through it. Why wear a mask if you can see your fucking face? I'm crazy. I'm wearing a mask, but I'm not wearing a mask at the same time. That's not crazy. It's retarded. But he does cut eye holes, which in the original he doesn't have eye holes cut in the sheets. At least it's like, oh, he's seeing through the eye holes. That was my one pet peeve about the original. And then so he kills her, and he carries her like he does Annie in the original, like the Dracula style, carrying somebody out of a room. Then we get the scene of Loomis buying a gun, kind of just to explain how he got the gun.
How he got the gun.
Literally just an insert of him being like, "I need this now." And the guy's like, "Well," he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need this gun like right now." Which, as a gun salesman,
at all.
You should probably post some quick.
The gun salesman even asked him, "What are you hunting?"
But that was after. He's like, "Yeah, this will blow something's head clean off."
Bad person.
Like he talked about how powerful the gun is, was bringing him up for him. He's like, "Oh yeah, what are we hunting?" And then we cut. We never really find out what Loomis says.
Squirrel. There ain't gonna be nothing left.
Bear. Bear. Yes, bear.
It's bear. Big grizzly man.
This is really good about this. Because in the original movie, Laurie's parents go to a party. They're gone. We never see them. In this one, well, unfortunately for them, but they're handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and Laurie's sitting there with them, and they're having this nice little back and forth.
Having a nice family night.
Yes, her mom's like, "I don't really like that bagel thing in it." Like, Mom, doesn't mean anything, but and like her dad's kind of zoning out, and they're trying to like kind of poke fun at him, and he's poking fun at them. She's like,
very
"Yeah."
cute. It's
she's
cute
like,
family.
He's like, "Now you stay on the straight and narrow tonight." And she's like, "I'm babysitting. What am I gonna do?"
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, we'll find out. And so she gets in the car with Annie, drives away, which I think wasn't Annie driving like a red sports car in the original too. I wonder if this is the same car, not the exact same car, but not the same model, like the same brand or style, because it kind of looks similar. And so she goes off with Annie, and the parents like, the dad's like, "So you want some loving?" She's like, "Well, it says something about
I'll give you some loving, but you gotta
fix something."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I'm gonna go tend to the fire," and she walks in. And he kind of sits there. And then Michael comes out of fucking nowhere. Slashes him.
Picks him up before he can even fall. Throws him inside.
Shuts the door behind him. And then we cut. We're like, "Oh, does she not know?" And we cut in, and she's looking right at him.
Literally.
Which is a beautiful shot.
She's frozen in fear. Which is, I really feel like that would happen.
That would happen in that moment. Because you were just having a conversation with her husband. Now he's dead. Now there's this almost 7-foot tall monster staring at you. Yeah. And he drops the body and just starts inching his way toward her. And then so we cut out, and she's like kind of crawling away.
Yeah.
And we're like, we see she has a big mark on her head. So like we assumed he hit her, but we didn't see anything. But then he comes after her, and he just brutally, man, like he starts throwing her into shit. And then he grabs a picture of Laurie. And this is when she goes from trying to survive to like, "No, you're not touching my." She says, "Stay away from my baby." Yeah. And he throws her through a table and like just start beating her brutally. And he picks her up, and flips his hand back, snaps her neck. But it was slow, and then just. But man, that was
intense.
That was another hard to watch scene though, because I actually liked Laurie's parents.
Yeah, but at the same time,
like he went there looking for her. Because he was watching them the whole time. Yeah. Then she left, and he's like, it's just, oof, man. let's see, where are we at? We're on it. Tom, we cut to Tommy and Lori. Tommy's kind of dickish in this, but like little kids are dicks.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. Like young kids, because they have no filter, so they're just assholes.
Let it out.
It's just what they. It's part of being a kid. And then we get the same plot of Annie's dropping off Lindsay to meet up with Paul to do stuff. But this awesome again. I want a picture of this too, where Lindsay's watching TV. We pan around and Michael's standing right behind her. Like if that screen cuts to commercial, like you know how it cuts to black before a commercial comes on, she would see him. Yeah. But it does. Thank God it doesn't. But oh man, it's just like you're like, oh shit! Like watching that, just like seeing that.
Like they change things. You're like, dude, like it. I don't know what's.
Because even though it's following a similar flow,
they follow it very closely.
They're changing shit. Just to make sure you don't know everything that's going to happen. But yeah, and then the girl who plays Lindsay is also a lot better.
Yeah,
I think in this one, she's got personality. These are good kid actors. It's like especially Lindsay, like she's got sass and like a little bit of personality. And then later I'll get to they're afraid acting. Then Brackets is like, listen. Loomis, you gotta get out of here.
You're crazy.
You're crazy.
You have no evidence.
This town has moved on. Right. You need to also move on. And then Annie's talking to Lori about Ben Tramer.
Good old Ben Tramer.
Good old Ben Tramer.
Explosive band guy.
Except Lori's like, all right, fine, I'll give it a chance. I'll date him. He's like, well, what did he say when he told him about me? She's like, he said you're fucking hot. I'm like, yeah, that's something stupid teenage guys would say. So that seems pretty legit. Then Paul drives up and we see Michael's across the street. Like, oh, yep, there's Paul. Paul, no keys. Then Loomis describes, Michael. He's like, he's not a Brackets. Like you describe him as if he's a monster. He's like, he's a soulless, the Antichrist. Like maybe he is. He's a soulless killing machine. Sheriff. I'm about to shoot him 6 times. Then Brackets like, I read your book. And he throws it out of his desk onto it. And he's like, you basically made yourself a career out of the misfortunes of this town. And you're like, and it's true in a way. But right now he's trying to help you. And then he's like, all right, fine. If I'm going to break something I said I would never do, you keep it razor sharp, right? And he's like, yeah. And he calls the Strodes, who are dead, and we see their blood everywhere. Blood is everywhere. And the phone just rings and goes to voicemail. Michael's watching the kids. Then he goes all across the street where Annie and Paul are also fucking. There's a lot of that in this movie. It's a longer scene. Like I felt odd watching this one. And just as they're about to kind of reach a maximum, climax. Michael's watching. Like he's literally standing right by the couch. He's like, yeah, I'm not waiting for this to be done. Pulls Paul back, stabs him, throws him away, and he's topless the whole time. Screaming, she's running, and he's like, he ain't getting away. Just starts, he's like, crawling, but he's like dragging her. And it's like, there's like no real music for it. It's just like, we sit there and watch this scene happen. It's really disturbing because she's like screaming and she's like grabbing the door, like trying to pull herself, anything she can get a hold of, carpet, anything to try to get away from him. And you ain't getting away from him. And then Tommy and Lindsay have this little back and forth where it's cute. It's cute. And she's like, it's time to go home, Lindsay. And he's like, yeah, go home, girl. And she's like, I'm the Queen of Sheba. You better worship. And I was like, oh, Lindsay. Got him. But that cuteness doesn't get to last too much longer. Brackett explains that he's the one who found baby Boo after her mom killed herself. And he's like, fine. He drove her towns over and dropped her off in an orphanage. And she just so happened to get adopted by someone in Haddonfield. And he kept it all a secret all these years to save her, to protect her.
Keep it over her head.
Then went to grow up knowing all that past when she was too young to remember. And this really makes Brackett even more humanized in the fact of like he just tried to do the right thing, and it just did not end up fighting well for him. The luck of the draw, because if she'd have went 2 towns over, Michael would have went 2 towns over after her. Then Lori goes across the street to drop off Lindsay, and they walk in. Paul's in this hanging up with like a pumpkin over his head. Lindsay's scream is great because it's like that so high pitched that it's cutting out.
Yeah,
and like she's scared as shit immediately,
terrified,
and Lori's freaking out, and she sees Annie, and Annie's injured. She's not dead.
She's not dead.
And Michael's literally right behind the door, which I was like, oh, fuck. It's like, what? He just slowly pushes the door closed. And Annie sees him, but Lori's in the kitchen trying to call the cops. And Annie's like, Lori, like screaming for her. And she thinks it's, and she's like, I'll be with you in a minute. I'll be right there. I'm like, no. Get out of there.
Run!
Because she sent Lindsay back across the street. And Brackett hears the 911 call. He goes to answer it. Michael comes after Lori. Lori smashes a window with a chair because the door was locked. Runs out, and we get this recreation of the chase across the street. Except Tommy, it's like the door was jammed. Like he was trying to open it and it wasn't. Maybe he was just scared and he just wasn't pulling it all the way down. It's not like in the original one where he was sleepy. It's like he was literally trying to open the door, but it won't.
Which I like that a lot better because the whole sleepy thing. I'm like, dude,
like you just went to bed.
You just went to bed. Not all that, but she's out there screaming. Like,
yes, like
scared.
Get to the door.
I mean, she's afraid. And this one, it's like he's scared, so he can't.
And he's like, he's freaking
struggling.
out. Yeah. So Lori gets everybody and she huddles them in and she's locking the door. Michael's outside the door and she's like, everybody calm down. Everybody, it's okay. And Tommy's like, what happened? And Lindsay's like, ah! And he looks up and Michael's like, you can see him above the door line. And he's like, oh, she's like jumping back, like trying to get away from the door. I'm like, this is scared acting. Like these kids are like, oh God, no.
Really good. They did a really good.
Because the original one, they're like, oh, what? Ah, and they ran.
Yeah, they run. And then
and this one, they're like, ah, like they're freaked out, they're panicked. Cops come and then are murdered by Michael immediately. Like just no reprieve. Lori had just opened the door. Michael smashes through it. They go and run upstairs, and Michael comes to the door and literally rips Lori out of, like, the kids are trying to pull her back and he pulls them away. And you got to think about these kids.
Yeah.
Their babysitter like ripped out of their arms and drug out screaming by a masked man holding a bloody butcher knife. Like
they just saw.
They saw him murder the cops in front of the door.
He's a killer, so they know he's
and they're screaming and trying to grab her. I'm like, man, that's a good scene.
Yeah.
That cinematography. Beautiful. Kids go get Loomis, who's next door answering that 911 call with the sheriff. Lori then is dropped off. Michael takes her back to his house, and the Myers tombstone is there, and dead Linda is there. And she's like, wake up, Linda, wake up. And Linda's not gonna wake up. She's dead.
She's gone.
Then Michael's like, hey, here's a picture of us together. And he takes his mask off.
And this is like where she's like,
she's like, I don't understand.
She doesn't know what's going on. She's like, why are you showing me this? Like, what?
I don't get it.
What's going on?
He takes off his mask, looks at her. But he drops his knife.
Yeah, he drops the knife.
And her eyes go to that knife, and it does not leave. Like, look at him, look at the knife. Look at him, look at the knife. Look at him, look at the knife.
And she's like crawling to him, like into the dirt. So she's
she's sliding her hands under to try to get that knife.
I think she was trying to hide her hands.
Maybe like my hands aren't moving.
Yeah.
She gets him. Maybe that. She's being
crawling
very
to it a
smart
little
because she's
bit,
like, she can't just try to get it. And so he's like hunched over. It's like,
he drops down to his knees.
yeah, it's like, love
And
me.
Yeah, basically, like, it's what it is. He wants love because
he wants his
mom's
little sister.
gone.
This is his only family.
This is all that's got left.
The only ones that he's liked.
Yeah.
And then she grabs that knife and stabs him in the neck.
Right
in that muscle right there. Yeah. This is a connecting muscle right here. Like from like the neck to the arm.
Of course, Mike takes it like a champ.
He falls down and she's trying to get out, but there's hardly any way out of there. And so she's trying to like rip this fencing away to climb through it. And he busts through the
struggle with the door. The door was locked,
yeah.
Right?
But she gets around
out of the door and she shuts it. It's out the cage. Like
pulling the fence up. Yeah, trying to crawl under. And he starts coming through
breaking through this wall.
Which then again, he's such a big man, and the wood's old.
The wood's old, so like it's not in some of the others. It gets kind of like
it's not inhuman strength. Like I could very much believe this man
tossing Buster Rhymes through walls and stuff.
Yeah,
it's not that.
No, I believe this giant man can go through
break through some rotted wood. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So but it's terrifying. Watch.
I wrote this in Sharpie, so I'm trying to read my
pen in the car.
Yeah, I lost my pen in the car, and it made me very sad.
A penny stole from my house.
So she's trying to flee, and he's just tearing everything apart. Fence that she took so long to get under, he grabs it, rips it away,
rips it off. Which I mean, also could be believable because it probably
it's linked.
Wood. Yeah, it's just linked.
And he just pulls it off.
Rips it off.
She pulled the links part of it back. He just ripped the frame. Because he's a lot stronger than she is. Makes sense. So then she's in a pool, like an empty pool.
Like she fell down, right?
Yeah, she fell. She tripped. Like she was running, and like it was like that thing where there's nothing left to run. So she planted. Now she's like, by the time I climb out of here, he's gonna get me. Mm-hmm. He's right here.
Well, I think she was hurt too.
Yeah, she hurt her leg, probably falling. But like also, he's right there, and so she's like, I don't know what to do now. And he slowly starts making his way to her, and Loomis comes and shoots him. He's like, Michael, stop. Bam. Stop. Bam.
6 times, Sheriff.
Which is more than just Loomis in the first one fucking around. He's like, bam, bam, bam. This one, he's like, don't make me shoot you.
Yeah.
Stop making me shoot you. Fall down for the love of God.
Please stop moving.
Then after a few shots, he does fall down.
Thinking he's dead.
And we, the audience, like, because that's where the original end was the gunshots. Like, oh, it's over for now.
Yeah, it's over.
So like, it's like, oh, she's made it. She goes with Loomis. They get in the car, and he's like,
classic line.
Yeah, and he starts describing the eyes and stuff. And then Michael comes and smashes through the window, grabs her, screaming, pulls her out of there.
Drags her back in
there. Loomis comes after her, and we're like, oh man, is Loomis gonna talk him down? And nope, grabs Loomis, starts crushing Loomis's head.
Because he's talking to him, he's like, "It's me, Michael. It's my fault. I failed you." And then he drops her, and you're like, "All right."
Okay. Michael's just like, "Yeah, you did fail me, fucker."
Like, did the whole speed wasn't
like enough. You didn't hear things crushing. It's enough to disable him.
Yeah.
And he drags him inside too.
Or he ran away.
Yeah, but he drags Loomis into the house because she's in the house and she's hiding inside of like a wall.
Crawled under it.
And he starts bursting through the wall. So she goes into the ceiling. So it's like the ceiling, and she's like in a rafter area. Right. And so he takes a 2x4 and just starts ramming it up into the ceiling, trying to knock her out of it.
Pretty badass.
Right. And so she's dodging it.
Like
finally, she rolls and hits a soft spot, falls right through to this other room. And so she's sitting there. She's got Loomis's gun.
Yeah. And
she's sitting there, and she's got blood coming out of her nose and mouth.
And she's taking a
Yeah, and this is like a 17-year-old girl.
Taking a
and still standing. And Michael is like standing in the doorway. He's like, and she goes to like aim the gun, and he just starts sprinting and just tackles her.
He drops the knife.
Yeah, because he's like, you don't want to fall on a knife. Jumping out of a window and holding a knife are a bad combo.
Yeah.
So I think it's why he dropped it. And he full on runs, tackles her through the window, like outside, off the balcony,
through the balcony, and
hit the ground.
Kind of black.
Then we're like, is that it?
Yeah.
No. She wakes up first, and she's coughing up blood. I'm sure she's hurt herself pretty bad. And she crawls on top of him. He's covered in blood. Her blood, mostly. And she points the gun at his face. And clicks. Just clicks. Fuck. Goes to aim it again. He grabs her arm. And then when he grabs it.
It struggles for a good, 20 seconds or so.
Gun goes off into his face. And she just starts screaming.
The blood just splatters on her face.
And as she's screaming and going like, ah, we cut to her as a baby stock footage of screaming and then black. And then that's Rob Zombie's Halloween. DJ.
Dude.
I really did. I liked it more.
Hollow original was so good.
It's iconic. It's golden.
Yeah.
It's aged well.
It's aged very well. It was so good.
But this one is 11 years old.
Took that story, added to with the beginning, which I wanted that in the first one. I wanted
more in-depth
in-depth characters of what happened to Michael, how I wanted that. I got it in this. The brutality, the stalk factor was off the charts. It was just I love it. Great.
All right, so my final thoughts on it. I like it more each time I watch it, and I especially as someone who films things and makes movies, I can appreciate really beautiful cinematography, and this is probably the most beautiful cinematography of the whole franchise, as far as the look of it. Rob Zombie is great at making things really creepy things look beautiful. I love Tyler Mane as Michael Myers. He does a fantastic job. I love all the cast. The acting was a notch above quite a few of these movies. It's just it cannot touch the goldenness of the original because the original is the original.
It's a classic.
And it's a hard one to follow. And I think there's only a few movies in this whole franchise that top this one. But okay, so that's Halloween 2007. Join us a little later tonight. We'll be recording it, but you'll see it sometime tomorrow. We'll do Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. My name is Mac Taylor.
I'm DJ.
And thank you for watching the Film Development Podcast.
Have a great night.